Greetings, Mark Grang here, publisher of the Conway Daily Sun. And today my guests are Karen Umberger, who we all know is a former state rep and former everything around Conway, and Anthony DiLorenzo, who is running for Congress. Anthony, a Republican.
Correct.
First district.
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good, good. All right, so I'm going to set this up for a minute. But one thing is that the primary is until next November.
No,
September. September,
correct.
right.
Yeah.
September 8th or something. Sorry about that. So we got a ways to go.
Exactly.
And then, and Chris Pappas, who's our current congressperson, man, he's running for Senate because Jeanne Shaheen is retiring. And on the Democratic side, there are people that we know, Jeanne Shaheen's daughter, and Maura Sullivan, who has run a couple of times, I think. But for the Republicans, it's really kind of an open, like totally open. I mean, both sides are open, but on your side, and I have to read these names because I don't know them. So there's you, and Melissa Bailey, who's from Bedford,
Yep.
and Holly Novolensky, who actually I do know because she ran 2 years ago, I think,
Yes.
and Brian Cole, who's a state rep from Manchester. Did I leave anybody else?
Well, Elizabeth Gerard, I think, has jumped
Yeah,
in.
a few days, within the last week she's
yeah.
jumped in.
She jumped in.
Yes.
And where's she from?
I don't know anything about her.
Down south.
Okay, down south. All right, and I should say this, that Karen is not endorsing Anthony because you're the vice chair of the
Mount Washington Valley Republicans, yes.
Okay, so you can't endorse
I
anybody.
can't endorse anyone at this time
Till after the primary, of course.
until after the primary.
Good.
And
Okay.
whoever wins, it's all in.
Okay. So that's enough for me yakking, Anthony. So why don't we start off? We'll get to the politics. Why don't we start off just introducing yourself and you're from Portsmouth and a very successful business guy.
Yeah, I live in Portsmouth. I moved to New Hampshire in 1983 to go to UNH. Ended up loving the state and feel it's one of the best things that ever happened to me is going to UNH. I met with my my college roommate yesterday. Actually, I hadn't seen him in quite some time, and we were talking about it, and I said I didn't realize how fortunate I was that day when I walked into my dorm room and met Peter and.
Where are you from? Where did you come from?
I moved around quite a bit. So I was born in New Jersey. I lived in New York, Cincinnati. My father moved around, just different businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved 10 times before I got to New Hampshire in '83.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you decided that was enough. You're going to stay.
I mean, I fell in love with New Hampshire. As we all know, it's an amazing state.
Yep. What did you study at UNH?
So I got
Besides beer.
beer was one. I got bad advice. I studied liberal arts, which wasn't really for me. I probably should have been in economics or business. So I ended up dropping out of UNH and started working full time.
Okay. And so, I mean, just not that we're here to talk about your politics and all that, but just to, really briefly, what do you do? What is your businesses? Are your businesses?
So when I dropped out, I went to work. I saved up $7,000 and I started a small automobile business selling used automobiles. And I was able to grow that into quite a few new car dealerships in 10 different states now.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And you're involved with Planet Fitness?
I do have some Planet Fitnesses, so
Is that a franchise?
it is a franchise. So business can be stressful. So simultaneously to running businesses, I started exercising at Planet Fitness. I liked the model, and I got involved with Planet Fitness. So I have 5 Planet Fitnesses in California.
Wow. Now, how did? I thought you were going to say, "Oh, I've got a couple in Southern New Hampshire."
No, so I went to the guys at PF and I said I'm interested. And at that time, they said really the best locations left were in California. So I'm in Northern California, Napa, Chico, Redding, Petaluma, and Santa Rosa.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's another conversation. But how does one do that from New Hampshire?
I have a good team. I mean, I've been in business for 35 years. We have almost 1,000 employees. We're not only in the automobile business, we're also in the auto body business, Planet Fitness, and we do a lot of real estate development, and we purchase commercial real estate.
Okay, so you're understating your success here, but you're not a guy selling used Volvos on the corner.
Not anymore.
What was your first car you sold?
That's a good question. It was a Toyota. Yeah, my first job was at a Toyota dealership in Portsmouth back in 1986.
Okay, enough of that. So why are you running after all this?
Why I'm running? I care about the state. I love New Hampshire. I recognize what a special place it is, and I didn't feel that there was anybody in the race that was capable of serving the state the way it should be represented.
All right, so this is a question for both of you actually, but what does the GOP stand for right now? Like I'm going to ask you what are the top issues in your mind, Anthony, but you know, there's a lot within the Republican Party. There's a lot going on here, there, and everywhere. And so some of the old, John Sununu, who you know was our U.S. senator, and he's running for Senate now, and he was in the other day or a couple of weeks ago, and it's like he was like a throwback to the old moderate conservative Republicans, and that's obviously not the case with one wing of your party.
Right.
So go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, I think we stand for economic freedom, low taxes, education, whether you agree with the way education is shaped right now or not, but we want to make sure that all children receive an excellent education. And I think that we also care about economic freedom, allowing people to do what they want to do, and obviously we need to provide good jobs, and I know that we probably don't have as many good, you know, I'll use the term good jobs up in our area, but down in the Manchester and South area, there are a lot of very, very exciting businesses and things that are going on.
Yep.
And so I think that's kind of where we are and what we stand for.
All right. Are you familiar with the North Country? I mean, the first district is pretty big.
It is pretty big. I don't get up here that often now, but one of the great things about running is I have been traveling the state quite a bit, and we have a beautiful, beautiful state. So it's nice to be up here, and it's nice to talk to different people and get different perspectives. I
mean, one of the things that I'm going to ask you, the next question is going to be, you know, what are you most interested in terms of issues? But you know, unlike senators, Congress people, really, it's about constituent service.
I agree.
And so, you know, running all your businesses and so forth, you obviously have figured out, or you're going to make time to do that. I mean, can you see yourself running up to North Conway or running to, you know, all these small towns when meetings and so forth? I mean, Chris Pappas, like him or not, or agree with him or not, I think he's very likable. I don't mean it that way, but he's around a lot, meeting with business people, particularly in business people, because he's a small business guy.
Sure. I mean, I've worked hard my entire life, and I intend to work hard, both in campaigning and serving the state of New Hampshire. So the answer is yes. I plan on being readily available a significant amount of time.
And what do you think, what are your issues?
I think most issues really stem from around affordability. So people are struggling with pricing of food, housing, wage growth is not where it should be. So affordability is a significant issue to the people that live in New Hampshire and across the country. In addition to that, I feel that it's harder for people to live the American dream, which I was fortunate enough to do. I think it's harder for young people to have the same success that I had, and that bothers me. So I want to ensure that young people have the same opportunities or better that I had growing up.
And affordability means, what does that mean? Like, how does
affordability, so in New Hampshire, housing prices have outpaced wages almost 3 to 1. Okay, they just released the average home buyer age is close to 60. That's not acceptable for young people. So I bought my first house. It was a 3-unit apartment house, but I was 27 years old. Younger people should have the opportunities that I had to do things like that, to start a business, to raise a family.
Now, New Hampshire, I guess most states have this housing issue, and you know, a lot of our state legislature is addressing it in a couple of ways, and that's another whole discussion of whether the state should be in the business of telling local towns what to do and not to do with housing. But I mean, you'd think as a business person that you would say, well, let's allow the market to decide about housing. Like, what can the government do, actually, is what I'm trying to ask.
I think that's a great question. So I've been involved in construction of both condos and single-family houses, and there are times when regulation is so burdensome that it prohibits or increases the cost of housing. Time delays in permitting is a perfect example. Access to capital is another issue. So it's become more and more difficult to get capital to do projects like this, construction projects, and that gets passed on to the consumer. So there's a lot the government can do by making it less burdensome to get
Is it
permits.
like bank regulations? I mean, bank
No, I'm
borrowing?
talking zoning regulations. I mean, there's a lot of communities that talk about having affordable housing, but then they make, I'll give you an example. I have a piece of property in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I went to the city, I said, I can build 243 affordable units here. They said it's zoned for 40-something. I'm like, well, if you zone it for 40-something, I'm going to be forced to have housing that's not affordable. You need density to get affordable housing. And if the government doesn't cooperate with that and have zoning that is receptive to having density in smaller units that younger people can get into and afford, and then be able to move to something better, like most people did, at least in my generation. So if you don't have zoning that fosters that type of development, it's not going to happen.
But that seems like a local issue. How does the federal government get involved?
Well, I'm not saying the federal, I'm saying the state government can get involved, and they are getting involved. They've actually passed some legislation to supersede the local zoning. But New Hampshire, politics in New Hampshire especially are local. People get involved in New Hampshire on a local level, and we can accomplish whatever we set our minds to in New Hampshire. So we need communities recognizing the importance of affordable housing and being willing to do things about it. And zoning is a perfect example.
It is, but you're seeking a federal job.
I am seeking a federal job, and there will be federal assistance available, but there's going to be coordination with our state and local officials to do projects like this. And not only that, I have personal experience in the construction industry, so I can offer some I wouldn't call myself an expert in it, but I have some practice in it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, there are also, by the way, there are federal regulations that deter people from building affordable housing, apartments, and so on.
So it can start from the top.
Yes, it can, and as a matter of fact, I was just listening to something on the radio today that said we needed to look at all of those federal regulations that are stopping housing from moving forward across the country, not just in New Hampshire. So I think myself, it's a federal level that needs to look at the regulations, the state level that needs to look at the regulations, and the local that need to look at the regulations.
I mean, it is an interesting, and if you're a builder, but about density in particular. But even in Conway, even North Conway, we've got hundreds of units. Even though we've got an incredible shortage, we've got hundreds of units coming online. Yeah. And that's all just free market. There's a demand, and supply is coming in, even though it's been taking a few years to do that.
But I think, excuse me, I think that Conway is one of those towns that is open to affordable housing.
Okay, on the federal level, you mean just
at the state, at the local level.
Yeah.
So, whereas other communities, as you mentioned,
that's an excellent point. There are communities that say they give lip service to affordable housing, but their actions are not consistent with what they're saying. So, and I mean, that's their right as well, but we do need communities that are willing to provide help in affordable housing.
The old snob zoning.
I'm
You don't use that
I'm
term.
not going to say that.
All right, so affordability, healthcare, and I'm going to ask you a few things, what's going on in the news now.
Sure.
So we know the whole government shutdown, whether you blame the Republicans or Democrats, it was based on healthcare and the continuation of the ACA tax credits. What do you think? Where do you stand on that? Because it's coming up, right? It's coming up again in December, next month.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up in the same place. What do I feel about healthcare? I think you've got politicians that have caused an issue with healthcare. The current system is broken. The Democrat solution is to throw more money at it. I don't think that's the right thing. Maybe in the short term, because people need healthcare, but a long-term solution, the Affordable Care Act, as the Washington Post said, is anything but affordable. Okay, so the system needs more competition in health insurance. It needs transparency in pricing. It needs help getting people into the industry. There's a shortage of healthcare providers. It needs to be overhauled from a technology perspective. There's a significant amount of burdensome paperwork that needs to be done with in the healthcare industry. There's consolidation of hospitals, which is, again, causing less competition, increasing prices. There's a lot that can be done in the healthcare industry. The difference between myself and a career politician is we deal with this stuff all the time. We can't just continue to throw money at a problem. We call that bankruptcy. We actually have to use our minds and come up with solutions that work. And if we're unable to do so we don't stay in business. So I bring a pragmatic, common sense approach to politics, which is not the norm.
And that's that makes total sense. But there are going to be votes, like in December, and I don't know how exactly, Karen. Maybe you know this, but I don't know how it's going to come about. But at some point, the House is going to vote whether to extend those tax credits. So if you were there, I mean, that's true about what you're saying about healthcare reform, and there's lots of ideas, good ideas out there. But if you had the vote today on extending the Obama tax credits, would you?
It's a great question. Not in perpetuity, no. Those subsidies were created for COVID-19.
The extended subsidies.
Yes, right. So they are no longer relevant to why they were created. That doesn't mean that the government isn't responsible for making health care affordable. There was a recent study on 9 major developed countries in healthcare. United States is approaching, out of the 9 countries, United States had the highest percentage of GDP going toward healthcare, was ranked worse, the last, okay? It's not a money issue, okay? Obviously we need capital to be deployed properly and efficiently, but there's a lot more to it than money. And if the only answer that our politicians can come up with is let's throw more money at it, it's not going to get fixed.
But the other side of that is the Republicans, when John McCain was there, when Trump was in his first term, they wanted to, so I guess one theory is that the Republicans just want to get rid of the ACA, period. And the Republicans so far, the GOP really haven't had an
statement,
answer.
But I think the Republicans are...
Well, they tried. They tried.
I understand, but I think the Republicans recognize the fact that the current system is broken, okay? And I think both parties are culpable in this and need to go back to work, which I'm glad the government's back open, and I'm not going to point fingers at what party caused it because it's not helpful. But the bottom line is that the government, the Congress, needs to go back to work, understand the problem, and execute solutions that work for the people of New Hampshire and the rest of the country. And throwing money at it is not the answer.
Good enough. And switching gears to tariffs, you're a free market guy, I'm sure. So, and the tariffs. I mean, the tariffs are going in front of the Supreme Court. They're going to decide on Trump's tariffs, I guess, by the holidays. I mean, just this weekend, I think the president decided to remove some of the tariffs from Brazil, so our coffee could be a little less expensive. And then he put the incredible tariffs on Brazil because he was unhappy with the political situation. And so, what do you think about the tariffs in general, and how Trump is handling them?
So, from a high level, I agree with the concept that having tariffs creates more opportunity for job growth in the country. It also has the potential to open up foreign markets, which were closed to a lot of U.S. businesses. So I understand in theory the approach. I question whether or not it is actually working, okay? President Trump was elected largely because, well, for several reasons, but one reason was inflation. So he's got an obligation to bring prices down. As I said, affordability is a big issue. During the last administration, we saw unprecedented inflation. So obviously, tariffs can have a negative.
They're a tax.
Essentially.
Right.
You also have to understand, though, they say it's about an $1,800 per family cost, okay, the tariffs. There was also the largest tax relief in American history was also passed in close proximity to the tariffs. So the two combined is actually a net win for consumers. But the bottom line is prices are still too high, and I think we need to look at the tariffs.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. And then, of course, the response to that would be that the tax breaks really favor the wealthy, which is pretty obvious.
That might be somebody's response, but that's not factual.
Well, I think we won't discuss that, but I'm not. I think the average person is buying coffee and bananas in the supermarket is not benefiting from those tax cuts as much as they're being hurt by the tariffs.
Okay, let me explain something to you. When you pay taxes, you pay taxes. Mm-hmm. On a tariff, you have the choice to buy that
Yep.
good service or good that is now being assessed a tariff. So you have a choice when you're dealing with tariffs. I'm not saying that cost isn't getting passed on, but you have a choice. In taxes, you don't. So there is a little bit of a difference there. You follow me?
It is, but okay. I don't think you're going to get people to give up coffee.
Listen, I'm not giving up coffee either. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm just pointing out the difference between the two.
Fair enough.
And the government, bottom line, the government needs revenue to function, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. And we have this thing called Teletalk, and we do in the paper. Mm-hmm. We ask a question every week, and people write in and call in and Facebook. So this week was Epstein, about whether we should release the Epstein files.
I don't know why we're talking about. I believe in transparency in government. I think they should release everything unless it is a national security issue. Okay, so I think everything should be out there.
All right, and then Trump won for immigration. I think that's clearly one of the issues. Affordability, because coming out of
immigration, securing the border.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
And then whether it was Biden's fault or not, coming out of COVID, we had the inflation. For that year or two, the Biden, and I agree. We spent too much money in the second phase of the.
You put too much money, yeah.
Yeah, there's too much money out there. But Trump has been saying that he's really about America first. But now he's talking about Nigeria, Venezuela. We got a bunch of ships off of Venezuela, and apparently we might even invade Venezuela. In Nigeria, we're talking about that. I mean, what's your view on the?
Okay, I agree with America first.
Okay.
I really do. I think we need to look at, we have problems in our own country that need to be addressed before we go help others. Now, I'm not saying we should not be helping others. I think that's our role in the world, being the dominant power, okay? But America first, I agree with that philosophy. As far as Venezuela, I agree with the fact that he's classified these drug cartels as terrorists, okay? Foreign countries have been shipping drugs into our country for a long, long time. Now, you may not agree with what he's doing, but I don't remember anybody else doing anything about it. At least this guy says, I'm not going to put up with this, and I'm going to do something about it. Now, I would not agree with boots on the ground anywhere, okay? I value the lives of our young people. I do not agree with it. But blowing up drug ships or drug boats, I don't have a problem with it.
Suspected drug ships. It's not.
Let me ask you something. Yeah. Would you be running around there on a boat, running fast toward America?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Anybody in their right mind is not doing that.
Right, and that's there's the old whether the means justify the ends in that. It's
yeah. We have countries shipping. China's shipping fentanyl in.
Yeah.
Biden left the border open and allowed it to happen. We lost more people in drug overdoses in this country in 30 years than we've lost in every single war in our history. In 30 years, somebody has to do something about it. Now you can say I don't agree with that, which is fine, but offer something up. okay? But we cannot have drugs coming in this country illegally that are killing the people that live here. Somebody has to do something about it. At least this man has stepped up and done something. So I support his efforts.
Okay, good enough. And the and what about the the president was I think this morning was at a McDonald's. You know, he likes. I guess he likes.
Was
Big
he
Macs,
working
right?
or driving through?
No, it was both.
Okay.
Flipping a couple of burgers
He's
on
got, he's got McDonald's people coming to the White House this afternoon.
Oh, does he?
Oh, does
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, well, it's it's called a delivery.
Yeah, is that it? Yeah.
So, what do you think about the no taxes on overtime and tips? I mean, that's all, in the way that I'll set it up by saying the way that Biden, you know, with the forgiveness of the college loans, which to me was just a sop for votes.
Mm-hmm. An illegal sop, but
Yeah, and I think this is the same. To me, this sounds like the same thing. Well, why should people who get tips not be paying taxes or overtime?
Well, I was actually waiting tables back, I think it was Reagan's administration that put that tax on tips in. So I didn't like it when I was waiting tables, and now I had to pay taxes on tips. Why is it? Because I think that the younger generation and the people that work in these fields are being left behind. So he's trying to do something for them. Okay, that's why I feel.
So you agree with him?
I do, and I'll point out that in that legislation there was no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. Okay, I think people in New Hampshire prefer lower taxes than higher taxes, and in that same legislation was the largest tax relief in American history. All 4 of our federal delegation representatives voted against lower taxes. I don't think that's consistent with what Granite Staters want.
Yeah. All right. And where do you? We only have a couple of minutes left. Believe it
That
or
one
not.
quick. Well, yeah.
Karen's been
Karen.
hogging the limelight here.
Me?
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. So you know, there's been now they're saying with Marjorie Taylor Greene when she was fighting with Trump about releasing the Epstein files before the president decided to yesterday, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Democrats are saying, oh, there's cracks in the MAGA movement. Like, where do you put yourself? You know, because Trump is basically a lame duck president, right? And he came in as a lame duck president because he obviously can't run again. At least that's except for Steve Bannon, who says he is going to run again somehow. But what do you think about that? Do you think there's any chance he could be the president after 2028?
Absolutely not.
Okay, well that's good.
I'd be happy to wager.
Okay. So where are you on the spectrum of MAGA, the far right, MAGA, Trump, moderates? Because I put Karen in the moderate world.
I mean, I don't like to put myself in a box, but if I had to, I would say I am. I'm fiscally responsible and socially accepting person, okay? I believe that a lot of I agree with President Trump on most issues. Secure border, lower taxes, the rural health care, the money, $100 million for 5 years coming into New Hampshire to help support rural health care. So I support those things. Domestic energy production is huge, okay? So on most issues, I don't know if you want to call them MAGA, whatever you want to call them, but on the issues, I support the president a large majority of the time. And if I didn't, I'm not afraid to speak up about it.
Okay. And my last question is about your competition. I mean, how would you separate yourself from your competitors in the primary? What is going to be your basic message?
I'm not a politician. I'm a pragmatic, common sense, hard-working business person that has accomplished quite a bit in my life. And I'm not really comfortable about saying that, but it's the truth, okay? I've helped create jobs. I've built businesses. I've been extremely philanthropic throughout the state of New Hampshire. I've actually accomplished things. I'm a results-oriented person. I don't think I like all the other candidates that I've met. I have not met Gerard because she just came in, but I really like the candidates in the field. Even on I haven't met Maura, but even on the Dem side, I like the candidates. Mm-hmm. I do not think they're as qualified as I am to bring results back to New Hampshire.
Well said. Anthony, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. I
and
appreciate it.
I'm sure we'll see you again
I hope so.
in the next year. And Karen, it's always good to see you.
It's always good to see you.
All right. Well, take care.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.